Okay, let's bring in the Thursday MPs for their thoughts on this and other issues. Erin O'Toole is with the Conservatives, the Parliamentary Secretary. Robert Chisholm is an NDP MP. Scott Simms joins us for the first time as a regular, as a Liberal MP. And Elizabeth May, leader of the Green Party. All right, Robert, you were tisking during that interview. What's wrong with what they're doing?
Well, I don't accept the premise that was suggested by your questions, that the people that are not complying with this imposed piece of legislation on First Nations, that necessarily they've done something wrong. I think there's a whole question about rights and accountability in this country as it relates to the First Nations people, and this government has shown itself unwilling to consider the constitutional rights of the First Nations peoples in this particular country. We've already seen, I mean, they brought in this legislation, no consultation whatsoever. They brought in an Education Act, that was going to be a major overhaul with education on First Nations. They finally had to withdraw it because it created such a chaos, such an uproar across the country. This government is ignoring decisions by the Supreme Court of Canada on the rights of First Nations people to have access to natural resources. I mean, they're trying to pick a fight.
But Robert,
I don't think I don't think there's any question here about accountability, and I think these communities are dealing with those issues and will continue to deal with those issues as they should. But the idea that this government is going to, go around and start throwing people in jail because supposedly they've done something wrong when they've introduced legislation without any consultation, without any discussion, the relationships between the Crown and the First Nations in this country is as bad as it's ever been.
I understand that, but Elizabeth May, I don't know about you, but I hear from people that live on First Nations, they want to know what their leaders are earning.
Well, the part that I found was hysterical from the minister was the idea that transparency and accountability is what everybody else gets. Oh, really? Do you remember Brent Rathgaber's bill? Brent Rathgaber's bill was to get all salaries in the federal government above $180,000 disclosed, and Conservatives on the committee were forced by PMO to change that to $440,000. We don't have, this is the least accountable, least transparent government in Canadian history.
I understand they're secretive, but
they're
deal
secretive,
with this
they're not
issue, though.
Well, this is it. The rhetoric around First Nations residents have a right to transparency and accountability. Canadians are not getting transparency and accountability out of Stephen Harper. This is a typical messaging trick to create, and I think it's fantastic that 90% and more of First Nations have complied. But I do think there are issues of principle here, and they should be handled very delicately here for going forward. The idea of an onerous, heavy-handed approach of we'll withhold your money or we'll take you to jail. Look, we're talking about very few First Nations. The minister has an obligation to consult with respect, nation to nation, and not be treating First Nations in the contemptuous way they've been treated by the government so far.
Scott Simms, is the Liberals' position that we should consult rather than take action to get them to disclose, or should they be forced to disclose?
Well, I wouldn't say nonchalant like that, because, I mean, the duty to consult has been really, it's in our Constitution, it's historic, it has to be done. What bothers me about this is that the minister just said that he wants to improve the welfare of all people in all areas of this. Problem is, he does it by, number one, laying down the hammer. And that's going to hit everybody, as you pointed out in the interview, because whether it's economic development is not just the administration of this. I mean, the ability for some reserves to come out of where they are and to improve upon themselves, it doesn't involve them putting a hammer down on them right away when they get some of this money. What they need is the ability to consult, but by way of doing that is to point out to them best practices, for a starter. What a novel idea. And I agree with Elizabeth, the fact that, if you're going to preach about transparency, start with the PMO and walk it as well.
Well, I'll agree there might be transparency issues with the government, but isn't there an accountability question here for First Nations? There's a lot of money going to First Nations, and some of these chiefs were getting paid more money than anyone at this table.
Listen, Don, what's happened yesterday with more than 90% of the bands complying shows that it's working. The vast majority don't have any issues at all, but there is a small minority where there's probably some issues. And the bright light of disclosure will bring that out. And not only will Canadians know the money's being spent appropriately, the members of those bands have a right to know. And what's disingenuous about some of my friends here, some of whom who come from provincial backgrounds, provincial levels of government, territorial, federal, we live in an age of accountability for, the spending of government. And that level of governance at the First Nations level needs the same level. So this is very reasonable, Don, and the measures that will be taken for the few outliers that for whatever reason aren't disclosing won't involve essential funding. So it's really squeezing and pressuring through public pressure these bands to disclose.
Look, the parliamentary budget officer has still not been able to get the facts on spending of billions of dollars. Billions of dollars in cuts have not been reported. This government this administration is so unaccountable and so non-transparent and so hypocritical that it's now saying bright light of disclosure on First Nations bands, which is a divisive approach when we're trying to have a period of reconciliation and rebuilding a relationship.
Exactly where all the money in the federal government is spent.
We can have accountability. We certainly agree and would support, and most First Nations leadership would agree with the issue of accountability. It's a question of how this government goes about conducting its business. They use the legislative hammer in this case, but they preach accountability with everybody else. But I tell you, I was at the Defense Committee this week with the Minister of Defense, who would not give us any indication what the cost was going to be of our mission in Iraq.
But
we're looking at in excess of $100 million. I'm just telling you,
if I may,
accountability is accountability.
Everything else but
all you
accountability is accountability.
All you MPs disclose your salary. You disclose every coffee you basically buy in Starbucks. For the most part, you're accountable to the voters. Why shouldn't the band leaders?
This is a different relationship. This is a different relationship that is recognized in the Constitution, Don. The existence of the First Nations and their relationship with the Crown is recognized in the Constitution. And you got to understand that. There's no question that there's a lot of work being done. There's a lot of First Nations communities in my province of Nova Scotia that are making remarkable progress in terms of governance, in terms of economic development, and that's the way things are happening across the country. For this government to just be picking fights on people is not the answer.
Even more. My friend from the Conservatives talks about 90% seem to be happy with it. That's not true. I don't think outright compliance. But see, this is the problem. They don't know if they're happy with it. They only know there's a compliance issue. If they're not happy with it, they wouldn't know because they don't start an initial discussion to find out how to go about doing this. We're the party that brought in, we're the party that brought in proactive disclosure. Of course we believe in accountability. Of course we believe in transparency. But where we are at now involved a great deal of discussion to get here at this point. Why can't we do the same?
I think the question is the approach that Mr. Valcourt takes from this point forward. Right. Can we treat this issue with the respect that is required when dealing nation to nation, which is the obligation under the Constitution? These are not just Canadians who happen to live in a different situation. Indigenous people in this country have a very different quality of rights, and we have obligations, fiduciary responsibilities as a federal government towards them.
Two quick issues. I don't think we'll get to both of them on transparency, though, but I find it interesting, our mission to Iraq. We've done 72 combat missions, 4 bombing runs. We've done some humanitarian work very recently. The Australian Defense Department opens up their disclosure, tells you what types of aid's being delivered, where it's being delivered, how it's being delivered there. And yet, in Canada, this is a big secret that we're delivering humanitarian aid. And we don't even know the cost of this mission. I'll go to you first on this, Aaron, because you are a veteran and you know this issue. And I'd like to know, why is a secret here not a secret in Australia or any of the other coalition partners?
Our government takes the approach that whether it's military operations in a certain area or humanitarian operations, if full discussion of what's happening now or what just happened could risk personnel, whether it's men and women in uniform, whether it's aid workers, whether it's our allies, we're not going to disclose until the certainty around security is there. You've seen some discussions of some of the missions. Those were done after the assessment was done, that they could discuss what was done. There was very in-depth briefings on it. But we're in an age, Don, where ISIL or ISIS as a group is actually on Twitter. They're using social media. They're trying to recruit out of Canada. And there's risk to personnel here in Canada if we're not very careful. So you'll see a full discussion, as we've seen with some missions, but I think Canadians agree we should be very careful about disclosing information, including about delivering aid. You have to secure an area to deliver aid. That's part of what this mission's about.
Is Australia irresponsible?
Sorry? They're making their decisions about what they disclose at a time they do. We make our own decisions. And we're there because we're an independent country. Yeah. It seems like some of my friends don't even want us there.
I didn't hear what you said, Scott. What was that?
Well, I just said then obviously the Conservatives feel that the Australians are very responsible in what they're doing. They're being very irresponsible in what they're doing. That's what they believe. I doubt that. And let's not, let's not forget one very important fact here about this particular government. There's another part of this chain that we're forgetting that they like to include, and that is the communications people and the people in the PMO who want to put out a message that suits their narrative. And that's part of the...
It's always been
that explanation about the specific details of the mission, which other countries seem to be able to provide, these guys don't seem to be able to. That does not explain why it is they won't give Canadians a sense of how much this is going to cost.
Yeah.
I mean, the mission in Libya wasn't that long ago, went 6 months, came in at about $154 million. So we can't extrapolate from that.
Well, so he's showing that in time you'll know exactly what this costs.
What do you think?
We were
Canadians
the first party to have a debate in the
check?
House. Don, you have to remember, when the Liberals started our Afghanistan mission, the Liberals didn't even have a debate in the House on whether we'd go. They used executive power. We had a debate whether we'd go, and the other parties want us distributing blankets, and we're taking a role in it.
It's very clear. Aaron's absolutely right that we do not want to ever disclose anything that puts Canadian lives at risk or the lives of the people we're trying to help at risk. So detailed information, of course, would travel on social media very quickly. But Canadians have a right to know what it's going to cost, and for the record, I don't think we're doing the right thing in Iraq. Bombing ISIS is not nearly as likely to be useful as a number of other things we could be doing that would provide more of a chance of actually accomplishing something. The Libya mission succeeded. We helped, unfortunately, in delivering the weapons that ISIS and ISIL are now using, because we decided to move from protecting the innocents on the ground in Libya to getting rid of Gaddafi, and in the process, the warehouses full of Gaddafi's weapons ended up in the hands of ISIS. We saw that coming. We could have done something, and we didn't. So we never learn from our mistakes.
We are out of time, but if I can get one word answer from each, I'll quickly do it. The gold ring effect. You all need to wear personal video recorders to ensure.
I've got mine on.
You got yours on? You got one on?
I don't.
It is such a.
I'm not
but
that.
you know what?
I'm not. I don't live in a.
I have to say, I regret giving you a slip ass. I already regret it. What he said and what he did.
Awful.
It's not funny.
No.
It's so weird, though.
It's a serious problem. It's a serious situation, and it was appalling. And he's already apologized.
Yes. All right. I was just being glib, and I shouldn't have been.
None of us should be glib.
Thank you all. See you next week.
Thank you.
Take care.